Hey everyone, I'm Shah. In this video, I'm going to explain multi-agent systems. I'll start with an overview of what they are and when to use them, and then review 4 ways we can build multi-agent systems with concrete examples. 2025 was the year of AI agents. This is where we saw the rise of deep research agents and coding agents, which are driving a significant portion of AI's economic value. And the key principle that made this possible is this idea of more tokens lead to better performance. In other words, as agents think for longer and longer, execute more tool calls, and interact more with the real world, the better they are able to accomplish tasks. The technical term for this principle is so-called test time compute scaling. This shifted the AI space from only focusing on training bigger and bigger models to focusing on how we can get these models to generate more and more tokens. Although test time compute scaling is a powerful and flexible way we can get more value out of AI, there is a problem, which is that single AI agents have a finite context window. And even if we have these very large context windows like 1 million tokens and beyond, there is this phenomenon of context rot where as the context window gets filled up with more and more tokens, performance actually tends to drop in these models. This was shown by research from ChromaDB, where they had the various frontier models do a very simple task of word repetition. And as the context window got more and more full, there was a clear drop in the model's performance. This brings up a tension between this idea of more tokens leads to better performance, and if the context window gets too full, performance drops. And so how can we get the best of both worlds, where we can get these models to generate the maximum number of tokens without seeing this drop in performance? One way we can do this is through multi-agent systems. So instead of just relying on a single AI agent, we can get multiple AI agents to work together. There are a lot of different ways this can look, as we'll talk about in a little bit, but the reason that this can be advantageous is that it can scale up test time compute while mitigating the risks of context rot. Another key benefit is that if you have multiple agents working together, they can work in parallel. So for example, if you have a research agent, instead of just having one trying to research sources one at a time, you can spin up dozens of research agents to independently look up different keywords or investigate different sources in parallel and then come back together to synthesize their findings. And then finally, with multi-agent systems, you can have specialized agents. So just like how teams of humans working together can benefit from specialization, the same thing's true for AI agents. So you can create these curated sets of instructions and tools for each agent for performing a particular task. While there are these advantages of multi-agent systems over single agent systems, it's not a cure-all. In other words, there are clear instances where single agent systems are better than multi-agent ones. And one of the core differentiators is that if you're performing sequential tasks where an agent needs to execute an action, get information, and perhaps update its plan, or perhaps use that new information to execute the next task, using a single agent system is going to be more effective than a multi-agent one. On the other hand, if the task is decomposable, meaning that it can be split into parallel subtasks, or the context can be split into smaller chunks that are independent, then multi-agent systems can be helpful. For example, if we have a sequential task like look up the latest documentation for ChromaDB, use that to create a PRD or a plan for the application that you're trying to build, and then finally build the application. You can't come up with a plan before looking at the documentation, and you can't code up the project before coming up with a plan. So each of these tasks has to be performed in this particular order. On the other side, decomposable tasks like research is a great example here, where agents can explore different research directions. So if instead of looking up specifically ChromaDB's documentation, maybe you want to research all the different RAG solutions that are currently available today, you can have multiple agents going out in parallel, one looking up ChromaDB, one looking up Cohere, one looking looking up llama index, and so on and so forth. So you can have multiple agents going out, doing a deep dive into each of these libraries, and then those results can be synthesized later. Another key insight comes from this paper by Google Research, where they found if a single agent system can do the task more than 45% of the time, using a multi-agent system is not a good idea. And this is basically because as you scale your system to using multiple agents instead of one, this creates a coordination task. So basically there's going to be computational costs for having these agents effectively collaborate with one another. Above this 45% mark, there's not a significant increase in performance that justifies the coordination costs associated with multi-agent systems. If your single agent system is successful more than 45% of the time, just stick with that. If it fails more than 45% of the time, multi-agent systems might be able to help. And finally, if cost is the most important factor in your system, so you want to keep compute costs down, then a single agent system is going to be the way to go. However, if cost isn't the most important factor, and really what you're trying to do is maximize performance because the economic value is there for the particular use case you're working on, then a multi-agent system can make sense. Ultimately, AI agents burn a lot of compute. And so if you go from one AI agent to, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 of them working together, this is going to not only linearly increase the compute costs, but there's going to be a super linear increase in compute costs because there's going to be some additional compute required to get all of them to talk to each other. So in other words, a multi-agent system with 5 agents will have more than 5x the compute costs of a single agent system. Typically, it's going to be a good idea to start with your single agent system, mainly so you can evaluate how well it can do this particular task. Then only once all these different criteria are satisfied would it make sense to transition to a multi-agent system. Okay, so we've talked about what multi-agent systems are and when to use them. Now I want to walk through 4 specific architectures for building these systems. These are based on this paper by Google, which is reference number 4. There they define these 4 key categories of independent multi-agent systems, decentralized ones, centralized ones, and hybrid. So I'm going to talk through each of these one at a time. Starting with architecture 1, independent multi-agent systems. This is just running isolated agents in parallel. Imagine you send a request to an agent, but instead of just doing this once, you do this any number of times. Maybe you do this like 5 or 10 times, but you're just sending the same request to every single agent, and none of the agents are talking to each other. So they're each just trying to execute this task on their own. And then at the end, you can aggregate the outputs of these agents through some kind of voting mechanism, or you can maybe pick the best option among all the results. An example where this might be helpful is if you're trying to generate a user interface for a application you're building and you just have like a fuzzy idea of what you want to build, but you're not sure on the specifics of what you want. What you could do is give the specifications to 3 instances of Claude Code, for example. These 3 instances will come up with 3 different options, and then maybe you just pick the best option of the 3. The pros of this is that this is very simple to implement and there's no coordination task. But the cons is that because these agents aren't really interacting with one another, you're just running multiple versions of whatever AI agent you have multiple times. Usually the gains are just going to be marginal from just using a single agent. And then another downside is that since the agents can't talk to each other, there's no opportunity for error correction. That same paper by Google Research found that these independent multi-agent systems will actually have a 17x increase in the number of errors compared to just single agent systems. So this architecture may not make sense for most use cases. The second architecture involves actually allowing these agents to talk to one another in this peer-to-peer network. For example, you can have multiple agents and every agent can talk to every other agent. And there's no sort of hierarchy. Everyone's on this equal playing field and they're just trying to get the task done with some harness built around them. For example, there was this case study from someone at Anthropic where they had a team of AI agents build this C compiler. So you can check out the blog post on their website. It's called Building a C Compiler with a Team of Parallel Claudes. I think it's reference number 5. And basically the key points here is that they had 16 agents running over 2 weeks trying to get this task done. The result was about 100,000 line C compiler written in Rust. The API costs were $20,000, so a significant investment. And the end result was pretty impressive. So it passed with 99% accuracy on this C compiler benchmark, and it was indeed able to run Doom, which is apparently a benchmark in of itself. And so the key point here is that a C compiler is a massive undertaking that a single agent won't be able to do in of itself. So single agents are great at like building a specific feature in an existing code base, but building this monolithic large scale project with a single agent is not feasible. And while this was an expensive project, so it was $20,000 in API costs, and it took 2 weeks to create. If one was to hire human developers to build this, maybe it would have taken months instead of weeks, and instead of costing on the order of $10,000, it probably would have cost on the order of $100,000. But of course, what expert human developers could come up with would probably be higher quality than what this multi-agent system was able to create. So there's this natural trade-off of like the quality of the final result. So you can sacrifice quality if you want to get it fast and cheap, or you can get the highest quality by allowing it to take longer to run with humans, and you can pay the humans more than API usage costs. The pros here is that a decentralized multi-agent system is a very simple design. You just have a bunch of agents that can be just exact replicas of one another, and then you build some harness around them. This can be like a set of tests to ensure tasks are actually done. It could be a task list where agents can check off and grab tasks off the list, and so on and so forth. And this decentralized architecture seems to be good for explore heavy tasks. They have a couple of benchmarks that they use in reference number 4, but decentralized was a top performer for tasks that required a wide breadth of exploration. But the cons, of course, is that because every agent can talk to every other agent and there's no one clearly in charge, this is going to create the maximum coordination tasks. So in order for the discovery of one agent to make it to the other agents, that agent has to talk to every other agent. So like to send them a message. Or there could be a shared context that these agents work on, but then building this harness is going to become non-trivial and task specific. So on the flip side of decentralized, we have a centralized architecture. So instead of just allowing this swarm of agents to attack a problem, you can have agents coordinated by an orchestrator. This will just have some kind of lead agent that will delegate work to a set of workers. For example, this is what Anthropic did when they built this multi-agent research system. So they had a lead agent that had access to a set of tools and that would delegate tasks to specialized sub-agents. So there was a citations sub-agent, and then there were various search agents that could go off and investigate a specific topic. And then there was this running memory that the lead agent could put information into. The key pros of the centralized architecture, this turns out to be very effective for error correction. So again, referencing that paper from Google, they found that this centralized architecture actually had the lowest error amplification of all these multi-agent architectures. And the reason is, if one of the sub-agents made a mistake, instead of that mistake being immediately propagated out to all the other agents, it would only make it back to the lead agent, which could double check the work and verify that it's correct. The cons, of course, is that this architecture is pretty complex, and then again, designing the harness is going to be non-trivial. Finally, we have architecture 4, which kind of gets the best of both worlds of centralized and decentralized. Instead of just having the lead agent be the only one talking to the various sub-agents in the centralized architecture, a hybrid approach allows some or all these sub-agents to talk to one another. This is exactly how the new feature in Claude Code works. Claude Code just released so-called agent teams, and this is exactly the architecture they use. They have this main agent that will spin up all the various sub-agents and assign tasks to each of these sub-agents. There'll be this shared task list, and then teammates can pick up work and communicate with one another, with the lead agent supervising the whole thing. The pros of this is that you get the benefits of error correction while maintaining the flexibility of the decentralized, because the sub-agents or these teammates can still talk to one another. So they don't necessarily have to play telephone of passing something to the lead agent who would then pass it to a different sub-agent. The cons, of course, is that this is going to be the most complicated architecture, and you're still going to have this coordination tax because the teammates can communicate with one another, which is going to increase compute costs and add to the number of tokens each teammate has in their context window. So while multi-agent systems hold a lot of promise for the future of AI, AI, there are still some current limitations. The first and most significant is that there's still not a single optimal architecture. Really what this will boil down to is that the best architecture is going to be use case and task dependent. So for example, maybe swarms are great for unstructured exploratory research tasks, while having a centralized approach is going to be great for coherent single goal oriented tasks. This is ultimately just going to depend on the problem you're trying to solve. Another key limitation is that creating an effective harness is going to be non-trivial. And so a harness is just the code and the software that you build around the agents. So this could be things like tests, shared context, task lists, and anything else. Again, this is going to be use case specific, and there's still no clear best practices and standards for doing this effectively, which is just going to require a lot of trial and error for people trying to build multi-agent systems today. Finally, the current heuristics that people are discovering, like from the Google paper that I've referenced a few times, may become obsolete as the models become smarter. So right now, what we're seeing is the results for the current generation of models, but perhaps with the next generation, we're going to see new rules because current limitations will just become obsolete. So where does that leave us? What is the future of multi-agent systems? The way I see it, 2025 was the year single agent systems became good. In my opinion, 2026 is going to be the year that multi-agent systems become good, because at this point, the models are indeed good enough to create these multi-agent systems. It's just now an engineering problem. It's mainly the challenge of building an effective harness for the specific task. Another key point here is that multi-agent systems are not a so-called Pareto improvement of single agent systems. So in other words, multi-agent systems do not dominate single agent ones across all tasks. It's only when tasks are decomposable that multi-agent systems are going to be valuable. So again, sequential tasks use a single agent system, decomposable tasks use a multi-agent system. Finally, the harness is the hard part today, and defining the optimal architecture is going to depend on the task. So at the two extremes, we have the decentralized architecture, which is like a swarm of agents attacking a problem. On the other side, we have the centralized architecture where there's a lead agent delegating tasks, and then there's a hybrid, which is something in the middle. It's going to be worth experimenting with different architectures to see which one is going to work best for your specific use case. So if you have any questions about any of the topics I discussed here, or have any suggestions for future content, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for watching.